Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, classmates. My name is Stephanie Pamaybay, and my co-members are Vanus Paganas, Rian Joy Ugmad, and Eliza Morsha. We are the Group 7, and we are assigned to report or discuss the symbolic interactionism theory. So what is symbolic interactionism theory? Symbolic interactionism looks at how every individual will give everything in their society a different meaning depending on their past experiences and expectation. Symbolic interactionism explains the individual in a society and their interaction with others, and through that, it can explain social order and social change. The theory compiled from teachings of George Herbert Mead in the early 20th century. He believed that the development of the individual was a social process, as were the meanings individuals assigned through things. People change based on their interactions with objects, events, ideas, other people, and they assign meaning through things in order to decide how to act. As what we can see in the presentation, there are two girls that has different perspective. The other person expected that under the tree has many ants and bugs, that maybe she will be beaten by them, so she is afraid because she experienced it before. The other person tells that under a shady tree is relaxing. Thus, we have different views of the tree, and so we act differently. But it can actually change. For example, I'm sitting under the tree talking to another person. I feel something in my shoulder, and suddenly I jump because there was something on my back. Turns out that the tree has ants and bugs, and now I have been bitten under a tree. I understand what the other person thinks. So I might not sit again under the tree because it might also be infested with ants and bugs. Third tenant is what we give meaning unto something which is not permanent and it can change due to everyday life. The meaning I give to the trees has changed after my interaction with the infested tree, or what I have been experienced under the tree, in which the ants or bugs bites me. And now for me, I view the tree shade on a hot day with a potential for getting bit. While this is true, symbolic interactionism gives different perspective to sociology that is necessary for fully understanding of society. It is capable of explaining how aspects of society can change as they are created and recreated by social interactions. It examines society on a small scale and gives the individual the same importance as the society as a whole and has necessary view when studying a society. Symbolic interactionism is a micro-level theory that focuses on the relationship among individuals within a society. So when we talk about micro-level, it is a small system that focuses only in the relationships, individuals, or families. In communication, it is the exchange of meaning through language and symbols. It is believed to be how people make sense of their social words. So it really connects in the symbolic interaction theory. As symbolic interactionism involves social communication. George Herbert Mead, considered as a founder of symbolic interactionism, though he never published his work on it. Mead's student Herbert Blumer coined the term symbolic interactionism and outlined its basic premises. Humans interact with things based on the meanings ascribed to those things. The ascribed meaning of things comes from our interactions with others and society. The meanings of things are interpreted by a person when dealing with things in specific circumstances. Another example of symbolic interactionism theory will be discussed by the next reporters.
If you love books, for example, a symbolic interactionist might propose that you learn that books are good or important in the interactions you had with family, friends, school, or church. Maybe your family had a special reading time each week. Getting your library card was treated as a special event, or bedtime stories were associated with warmth and comfort. So, one of the advantages of reading a book is that you can connect emotionally with the person who is listening to you while you read. However, how those skills overlap in social circumstances or interactions is less generally discussed. Interaction is an important aspect of a person's development and evolution. While we are growing more connected digitally, we are becoming less connected in our daily lives. In this fast-paced and frantic atmosphere, more people are growing up, learning acceptable strategies of social interaction at a young age will become even more crucial as they progress into maturity in the job market. Reading books can help you develop those abilities. Books provide an endless supply of social connection. Several examples are: character conversation in scenes depicts children's effective and ineffective ways of dealing with conflict in a range of scenarios. It allows people to experience a variety of moods and feelings that they would not normally encounter in their daily lives. People can think about how they could react in a similar circumstance after experiencing these emotions in a safe environment, which helps them prepare for future encounters. This allows them to have a more well-rounded and mature emotional development. The focus on the importance of symbols in building a society led sociologists like Erving Goffman, 1922 to 1982, to develop a dramaturgical analysis technique. Goffman used theater as an analogy for social interaction and recognized that people's interactions showed patterns of cultural scripts. Because it can be unclear what part a person may play in a given situation, they have to improve their role as the situation unfolds. Improvise their role. So as we can see natin nakita ng mga signs, they're all over the place. Despite the fact that this statement is not particularly insightful, it is not less quite true. We are so surrounded by indicators of all kinds in our culture that they become practically invisible until we look for them. Though this may appear to be accurate after some thought, it's also possible that you've only considered signs in the most literal sense, such as those that provide instructions to the nearest parking lot or those that denote street names. On the other hand, take a much broader view of signs. Semiologists define signs as verbal and nonverbal interactions, as well as objects or phenomena that the spectator interprets as signs. In reality, road signs and its ilk are everywhere. Semiologists investigate only a small portion of what they do. Other indicators, such as nonverbal communication, are more intriguing to examine since they are considerably more dynamic in both their usage and perception. To avoid ignoring traffic signals, I'll use the stop sign as an example throughout this post, as a symbol that simultaneously demands our immediate attention and passes us by practically undetected. So, another example kay kuan kanang, di ba, kanang pag makita na to sa kanang sa dalan, di ba? Pag red siya, it means mo na siya ang stop. If kanang mag-green siya, so mo na siya ang kanang sign na mag-go na ka. It's either mag-go na ka ang mga sakyanan. So another example pod is kanang sa like sa mga Roman Catholic, di ba? If ever kanang makaagi sila og simbahan nga naay cross sa ilahang sa mga Katoliko, so kanang ilang sign na kanang mag-sign of the cross na sila kanang inana sa mga Roman Catholic. So inana ilahang sign, ilahang sign sa Roman Catholic. If ever kanang makalabay sila sa ilahang church nga bisan unsa na mga kuan basta kanang Roman Catholic, so mag-sign of the cross yun na sila as a symbol of respect. So kanang importante jud kay sa tuwa ang kanang mga symbol or kanang non-verbal, which is ang mga symbols sa ato ang life kay kanang mo na siya ang kanang makapa unsa sa atoa maka-aware sa atoa na kanang unsa ang true sa ingon na mga sign or symbol kay kanang maka-aware sa atoa na if ever kanang okay ba na siya buhaton or dili, or dapat ba na siya buhaton or dili, kay if ever nakabalo na ka sa kanang sign, for example sa stop or sa kanang sa stop, so kanang wala ka nagtan-aw sa sign na dapat man mo stop ka, mohunong ka, so ikaw nga gahi kay ulo ni go ka, edi najud kay kanang najud consequence na mahitabo sa mo at the end if dili ka mo follow sa mga signs or symbols na makita sa palibot. So next is we develop social constructs based on interactions with others, and those constructs that last over time have meanings that are widely agreed upon or generally accepted by most within society. This approach is often used to understand what's defined as deviant within a society. There is no absolute definition of deviance, and different societies have constructed different meanings for deviance and associating different behaviors with deviance. One situation that illustrates this is what you believe you are to do if you find a wallet in the street. In the United States, turning the wallet into local authorities would be considered the appropriate action, and to keep the wallet would be seen as deviant. In contrast, many Eastern societies would consider it much more appropriate to keep the wallet and search for the owner yourself. Turning it over to someone else, even the authorities, would be considered deviant behavior.
Technology itself may act as a symbol of money. The kind of computer you own, the kind of car you drive, your ability to afford the latest Apple product, these serve as social indicator of wealth and status. Neo-Luddites are the people who see technologies as symbolizing the coldness and alienation of modern life. But for technophiles, technology symbolizes the potential of a brighter future. For those adopting an ideological middle ground, technology might symbolize status in the form of a massive flat-screen television or a failure ownership of a basic old mobile phones with no bells and whistles. So, in middle grounds, technology, makita nila ang technology as a symbolized as a status. So kung ikaw nga na ay TV nga flat screen, na iPhone, na laptops, na computers, na car, makaingon sila sa imuha nga dato ka. Murag nakay potential for a brighter future. Tapos ang katong maka-afford or low-key lang na mga tao, maka-afford lang og kaning K-pad, makaingon po sila na pobrito sila na mga tao, that particular person, no? Dali ra sila ang kanang true technology maka-symbolize dayon sila og status kung dato baka or pobre kung makitan kanila na iPhone, na laptops, na computers, makaingon na sila na dato ka. Kung makita lang kanila nga naka K-pad, okay lang, makaingon dayon sila na publika. And then, social media demonstrate a frames called symbolic interactionism, which states that we are meaning in a given situation based upon reflecting upon our own action through the eyes of others. Through social media, we defined our identity based upon our perception of how others view our communicators. So, diri sa kilid, mo ni siya ang mga social media na mga app. Excel, Messenger, Tinder, Snapchat, Twitter, Instagram, Kumu, etc. and many more. So, sa experience nako experience sa Tinder, which kanang nakita din sa ako, kanang nakitaan sa imong ating nga na kay Tinder. Mo na ko na experience na. Niana din ako ati sa ako nga. Siya na. Hala, ganun nag-Tinder man ka nga. Dagha magbastos dira. Nasya ko ha? Dagha nagbastos diri nakaanaw. Sa mga pila ka adlaw na ko nag-Tinder, wala mo ko yung na-encounter na bastos. Then dayon to siya na. I-uninstall na, uy, daghan magbastos dira. Nakaana ko na, dili man akong tumong mangita o bastos diri, Then mo, so far nga nag-tender ko, wala may bastos po na ako na-encounter. So, nagpadayon lang ko og tender. Dili po man binastos akong tumong man kay nakoy ka-chat or nakoy ma-friend or something like that gani na daghan pa ko ma-friend sa laing lugar, dili lang magtuyok sa akong circle of friends kanang pwede mo explore. So, ni-explore ko sa Tinder. No, dara nimo makita na in a given situation based upon reflecting upon your own action through the eyes of others. Through social media, we define our identity based upon our perception of how others view our communications. No? Dali ra kay sila makaingon sa imuha uni para sa ako sa Tinder, nakaingon din ako tinabastos kay na-experience man to niya na ang kanang sa Tinder na-experience na naggibastos gani siya or daghag bastos sa iyang Tinder. So nga na ganit no, sa social media makitaan lang sa tao or makitaan lang sa kung nakanya na app kay dali ra kay sila makahula kalaing pud daw ngani na siya na gani. Tapos while media may indeed be the medium of spread of message of a rich white males, Jameson, Creighton, Hines, and Sasson 1992 point out that some of forms of media discourse allow competing constructions of reality to appear. For example, advertiser find a new creative way to sell us product we don't need and probably would not want without their promoting. But some networking sites such as Free Cycles offers a commercials free way for requesting and trading items that would otherwise be discarded. The web is also full of blogs chronicling lives live of the grid or without participation in the commercial economy.
Hello everyone, I am Eliza Mosha and now I will discuss about symbolic interactionism and constructivism. So, it is studies that use the symbolic interactionist perspective are more likely to use qualitative research methods such as in-depth interviews or participant observation because they seek to understand the symbolic worlds in which research subjects live. So, in other words, symbolic interactionism or interactionism is an approach to use to analyze human interactions by focusing on the meanings that individuals assign to things in the world around them. It includes or including the words and also the objects. So as what you have seen in the PowerPoint, I have here a letter F symbol or what we also known as Facebook. So Facebook, which started as a free social network for college students, is increasingly a monetized business, selling you goods and services in subtle ways. But chances are you don't think of Facebook as one of big online advertisement. What started as a symbol of coolness and insider status, and available to parents and corporate shields, now promotes consumerism and games and fandom. So I have an example about the Facebook games. One of the popular games in the Facebook is Candy Crush. So think of all the money spent to upgrade popular Facebook games, like for example, as what I have said earlier, for example, Candy Crush. I noticed that whenever you become a fan, you likely receive a product updates and special deals that promote online and real-world consumerism. It is unlikely that millions of people want to be friends with Pampers, but if it means a weekly coupon, they will, in essence, rent out space on their Facebook pages for Pampers to appear. Thus, we develop new ways to spend money and brand loyalties that will last even after Facebook is considered outdated. So next is constructivism. Is an extension of symbolic interaction theory, which proposes that reality is what human cognitively construct it to be. We develop social construct based on interactions with others, and those constructs that last over time are those have meanings which are widely agreed upon or generally accepted by most within the society. This approach is often used to understand what's defined as deviant within a society. There is no absolute definition of deviance, and different societies have constructed different meanings for deviance, as well as associating different behaviors with deviance. So, in other words, constructivism, it is a theory that states that rather than passively absorbing information, learners construct knowledge. By people build their own representations of the world and incorporate new information into their pre-existing knowledge as they experience it and reflect on it. And that's all. Thank you.